In case it's not obvious, all of the stuff we're talking about you embodying here is really going to affect who you're attracting. So if you are self-rejecting and pretending to be somebody that you're not, you are going to be attracting someone who is self-rejecting and pretending to be someone they're not. And then you're going to wonder why you're in this cycle of things you do not want.
What? You may want to rewind and listen to that again, because that was such a big lesson for me. We draw in people who reflect back to us where we're sort of at. And then it's very easy to point the finger at they're the problem. And when we don't own our part of the dance of really learning ourselves what our true yes and no and maybe is and acting upon that, then we just swap out partners and the next date and the next person, and we keep pointing the finger at them. And then we get very disgruntled about how dating sucks and there's no good people out there and I'm going to end up being alone forever. And life is horrible.
Yeah. The parts of yourself that you reject are going to be amplified in the people that you are attracting towards you. And I want you to picture this for a moment, and it's going to make you either feel really good and warm or super uncomfortable. Imagine being in the company of someone who just loves their own company. They don't need to be any different than they are, and they don't need you to be any different than you are. If you love your own company, that's going to feel really good. And if you don't, you're going to be vibrating with anxiety. If I should this, I should that, they should this, they should that. Why am I so uncomfortable? And this is what we're trying to avoid, right? If we want to have a nice, secure, happy relationship with somebody who doesn't need us to be any different than we are, we're going to first have to embody the fact that we don't need to be any different than we are.
So I feel very blessed because I am in a relationship where I get to be exactly who I am. And I delight in it every day. And I feel very lucky lucky in the sense, I know I worked hard for this. I know he worked hard for this, but lucky in that we get to enjoy it. Because if, say, a decade ago, 15 years ago, someone came around who loved their own company, I would not know how to be in relationship with that person. I would be like, you love your own company. It must mean you don't love me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would make that mean something horrible about me and not good enough about me. I wouldn't have even been able to have a relationship with someone who was happy and content on their own. Now, here's another thing. I would date people who weren't really secure and confident in themselves. But hey, what was great was I'm a very good complimenter at helping make people feel good about themselves. So I would just run to these people because they would make me feel good and needed.
Right.
Until you realize being with someone that doesn't feel secure in themselves is really exhausting. And I also didn't feel secure in myself. And so we did this dance together that just wasn't helpful or fulfilling. And then when you said, what did you say? Someone who loves their own company and doesn't need me to be different. Well, then that screws up my whole framework of life. What do you mean? I'm supposed to learn you so well, better than anyone in your life ever has, so that I can pretzel myself to be exactly what you need. So if you just need me to be me, and I don't actually know who that is because I've never practiced being me, how am I going to function in this relationship? What's my job then? So you could have presented me with someone who was a very healthy person to co-create a really vibrant, safe, emotional, fulfilling relationship with, and I would not have known what to do with them. I would not have known what to do with myself in that kind of dynamic.
Yeah. We talked about this last episode, the dirty lens syndrome. So it sounds like, and I want to be clear that this is not actually what we're saying. We're not saying you have to be healed to attract a healthy person. We're saying that if that healthy person comes along, you are not going to know what to do with it. And it won't end up working unless, and this is the part that we talked about last episode, if they're telling you, hey, you're great and you're fine and I love you. And then you can go, oh my gosh, that is not the story I've been telling myself. I see it now. Thank you. Yes. Brilliant. Go for it. Healing is happening. But most of the time, that's not going to be what happens, right? Most of the time, you're going to end up sending them away and rejecting this love because it doesn't fit into the story of your own existence.
And what I felt really drawn to was the person who felt like soulmate. In the end, people were like, oh, that was a trauma bond. But I realized I got caught up in a few things, which was no one's ever treated me like this before, or I've really wanted someone to be like this with me. And I thought that meant I hit the jackpot until I realized, no, you're craving to be chosen so badly. You're craving that anyone just says anything nice to you, that as soon as it comes along, you think that is the shiny, magical unicorn, and you say yes, and you say yes to it all before you know what all is. You say yes to it all, even if all of it doesn't feel good, because you think, oh, this one thing I've really wanted for so long that nobody has ever given me is finally here. This must be it. I fell into that trap many times and it's okay. But when I began to get to know myself better, learn to like myself more, then this attraction to that started to change.